Oh, I'm recording. That's interesting. I did not push record. I really didn't. And for some reason, it's just going. That's interesting. I wasn't really sure if I was going to turn the camera on. Um, yeah, so I have a cigarette here. Don't worry, it's nothing permanent. I just had a moment of weakness, you can call it. A failure. I'm fine though. I'm not going to buy another pack. So, um, why was I even like considering making the video? I woke up today. I was very hungry, and I've been thinking about getting some wings for the past couple of days. Um, but I hadn't made the move on doing it, so today was the day. And I had a friend meet me there who I play games with every Sunday. I have my friends come over on Sundays, and we hang out and play like board games, card games, anything that's a game that has nothing to do with the television or a screen, basically. And so I invited her to come by or to meet me for wings. Just we're just friends. Um, and while I was there, my the mother of my child called, and she's like, "Hey, I wanted to ask you about something. Did you tell?" And she said our kid's name, but she's like, "Did you tell our kid that my new boyfriend is bad?" And I'm like, "What? No. Say anything like that. Did you say that he was mean or anything?" It's like, "No. I don't know this guy. I don't, I don't know. I didn't say anything like that." She's like, "Well, what was said?" And I was like, I said, "Listen, like, if he's ever mean to you, you need to tell me, you know." But that was all I said. That was it. And rightfully so. I don't think, I'm not putting anything in his head. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I don't, I'm protecting my child. I'm not going to tolerate anybody being mean to my child. But that was it, and he's just 3.5, so it's like it wasn't like a big conversation. Anyway, um, she didn't really seem upset about it or anything, which was fine, I mean, she shouldn't be. Um, and I'm like, well, what are you doing? And she's like, going to the fair. Now, the thing about that is, so there's a county fair right now, and I had mentioned to her like last week or a couple of weeks ago, well before I even knew about this new boyfriend, hey, we should take him to the 4-H fair too. So that's in a couple of weeks, and she's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do that, right? And then today, I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, going to the fair. And it was the way that she said it. She like knew, because it's like all hitting me at once here, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, you're going to the fair, huh? And she's like, yep. And she was like, all right, well, that was all I wanted to know. And I was like, okay. So then she calls me like right back, and she's like, do you want to go with us? And that's where I got really pissed off. Well, I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I wasn't really pissed off yet. So I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. Um, and she's like, yeah, I mean, I thought you should, we should go, maybe because, because we talked about it before. And I'm like, is it going to be just us? Kind of knowing that the answer is going to be no at this point. Like, because I'm kind of like living in the moment, like realizing, like, oh, she's probably there with him, and I'm not ready to meet him. But yeah, so she's like, well, it's, Keegan will be here. And I'm like, no, then fuck that. I don't want to fucking go. Like, like I'm not in any position to be meeting him right now. And yeah, I don't want to do that. And she was like, really? You're going to be like that about it? You know, like, so now she's upset at me. And I'm like, you know, would you rather me be upset and like just show up and not be okay and just kind of be a downer and be, you know, like be hurt? I don't want to do that, you know? That's not what this was supposed to be. This was supposed to be us being a family. And it's like, it's already like gotten to a point where her selfishness is fucking intervening. And it's like, it could be looked at that I'm being selfish, right? Because I have a problem with this whole situation. But I, again, like living it, of course I don't think it's unreasonable. I wish that I could go there and it'd be okay. And that's not to say that that never would happen, right? Like, I'm not against when I'm fucking not emotionally compromised like I am to like meet this guy and whatever. Like, I am gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to meet him eventually, right? I can't just avoid it my whole fucking life. Like, or however long their relationship lasts. Like, I obviously can't do that. And I need to know who's around my son, you know? But I just don't want to say mean. I just don't. I can't right now. And I don't think that's unreasonable. And what really hurt was that, you know, she calls me to ask me as an afterthought. And the only reason why she did was because she knew that, like, she knew that what she was doing was gonna fucking bother me. Which, look, maybe it's not her responsibility to fucking not hurt me, but and I don't know. I just don't know how to handle things. You know, I don't know how to handle things. I don't want to cause a scene, and I'm not that kind of person necessarily, but my emotions can do dumb shit, and I'm not prepared to do anything stupid in front of this guy. I'm just not prepared to meet him, you know? It just hurts too much. The whole thing just hurts too fucking much, and she doesn't seem to understand that. That's the part that, like, really, I guess that's probably the only thing I should have said about this whole thing. Like, the whole situation hurts, and I'm not prepared to deal with it appropriately. This is not the life I suspect that I would sign up for, you know, like, you know, I was kind of going on about like angels yesterday, and there was like, you know, people tell stories. Stories are all over the place. I take all the stories I hear with a grain of salt if there isn't like really any documentation of things. And even when there is documentation of things, those things can be doctored up. And but apparently there was this woman who died for like a long period of time, like more than an hour, which would clinically make you brain dead, right? Like, that's impossible, they say. But somehow it was like some sort of procedure they were doing, like on her brain. And she lived through it. Like, she did live, like, I mean, she lived through the whole thing, but she died. She didn't live through it, I guess, because she did die. But, like, they had to, like, kill the blood flow to her brain in order to take care of this, like, aneurysm. Anyway, she said that there was, like, this part when she was dead that she had to go back, and she didn't want to go back, but the beings that were there were like, no, you have to go back. You agreed to all of this. Like, you agreed to go back. Like, we showed you the things that are going to happen to you in your life as a soul before you were born, and you chose to go ahead and live that life. And I'm like, man, that's really interesting. Like, so let's say that that's true. Let's just say that that whole scenario is real for a second. Then that means that my soul went through the same thing. That I looked at my life and was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. What the fuck? Like, why did I do that? I mean, the only thing I can hope is that there's like something better coming or something, because like I can't figure out why I would just be okay with living a life full of feeling like this if there wasn't some sort of gratuity or something to make it worth the fucking trouble. You know, my child is, like, if I were to die now, having my child, like, I could potentially be like okay with. I wouldn't be okay with leaving my child at such a young age, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if all that my life was meant for was for me to create the life of my child, to help with that, and help make that happen, if that's what it was, like, okay, like, all right, I can be okay with that and live the rest of my life with feeling the way I do. Gladly, I guess. So don't think that when I say things like there's got to be some sort of reward for all of this, that I'm forgetting that my child exists, because I don't. It's just I I feel like I need to be more for my child. More. Everything he needs and more. And I don't know how to do that when I am not everything I need and more for myself. So it scares me. Well, I've gone over a little bit, so if you weren't bored, I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around to the end. See you next time.